Hi, coaches. I'm so delighted to be with you today to talk about the ICF Business Development Series. I'm William Arruda. I am the creator and host of the Business Development Series. This year, in case you don't already know, we have two different programs. We completed the Core Live, although we still have Core On Demand as an option. And we have the Advanced program for the first time to be able to support coaches who are seasoned and skilled and looking for what's next. How can I grow my practice? How can I increase my efficiency? How can I enjoy what I'm doing even more? And how can I make sure I'm relevant in a world where technology seems like it's taking over? I have with me the amazing ADHD coach, Ryan Mayer, who was a participant in the Business Development Series Core, and he told me he's going to continue and move to Advanced. So welcome, Ryan.
William, thanks so much for having me. And while I was at Core, I knew I wanted more.
And you know what? And Ryan speaks in rhymes and has some really clever things to say, which we're going to hear. Just to set the scene for what we're going to do in the next 7 hours together. Oh, I mean 30 minutes. We're going to talk about what's going to happen in Advance. I know a lot of you folks who are here right now are saying, I want a preview. What's going to happen? What are we going to work on? Ryan's going to share his experience in Core and what he's been thinking about for how he would like to learn new things in Advance that will help him move his practice forward. So that's the plan. If that sounds good to you, then we're going to just jump in. And Ryan, I just wanted to ask you, it was really an intensive program. You participated in the live version of Core. And it was 3 days with pre-work and post-work and all kinds of things, really intensive. I'm sure that your mind is still working on some of that. What did you take away, and what would you recommend to people who are going to join Advanced, which is going to be equally intensive?
You taught us how powerful visuals are. That's why I wanted to start off by saying, when I went to Core, and at the end of it, I was just thinking, wow, my future is so bright. I'm going to have to wear sunglasses for it because you honestly did equip us with so much. One recommendation I have is I actually printed mine. I had to take this copy from my bedside table, obviously. But in here, just having it printed was really nice because I could write things out. And I was just saying to William before we started, the pre-work was really powerful for me because obviously we're going to hear tips and tricks and what platforms and what things to say. But what I was really struck by was the pre-work, which it really gets you to think and use our imagination. And as I was saying to William, like Disney, how they have Imagineering, I got to use my imagination and think about what is important to me. What do I want my practice to look like? And what do I need to do to get there? Which we all know as coaches, that's the key, is to figure out, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, and how can I bridge that gap? And that's what I really learned in Core.
Wow, well, so much I want to talk about the take that I took away from what you said. First of all, by the way, bravo for printing out the workbook. We worked really hard to make it a fillable PDF so that you can use it online. But what we know from neuroscience is that if you write, you're more likely to remember. So everyone can choose what's going to work for them. And I love that you kind of just did that and made it happen. The second thing that I really appreciate that you said is, I'm not going to tell you everyone has to do this. Exactly. It's for you to think about where you want to go and then to take the things that we talk about and apply them in a way that's authentic to you in your practice. Everyone should leave the program more different than how they came in because they're really thinking about how this stuff applies to them and what's going to make them happy and successful and able to deliver exceptional value to clients. So I love that you said that. And I also love that you talked about pre-work. This is the key. It's intensive. And so it feels like, oh my gosh, if I have to do all these things in between sessions, it seems like, I'm just going to be overwhelmed. The great thing is, I think when we do pre-work, it sets all these things going off in our heads and primes us to be much more potentially impactful and engaged in the actual content that gets delivered. So thanks for all of that. What would you say topic wise was the biggest takeaway from core? The thing that you either use the most or you think it's really going to have an impact on your practice?
Well, you taught us a lot about the rule of three, keeping things simple so that people can remember it. And you were practicing what you preached because you baked that into the content. So day one was know, day two was show, and day three was grow. So it was easier for me, speaking of neuroscience, just to kind of anchor some of the concepts to that. So I really appreciated that you were utilizing a lot of your techniques within the training itself. And I also really liked that we got to do exercises not just on our own, but we also did breakouts. So what I wrote down is we balanced back and forth, and we went from learning to applying, learning to applying. So that's why I didn't find it to be overwhelming. It was just like we had so much greatness to get through, but we made sure to take a few minutes to pause, work with each other. I got to meet coaches. I mean, we are from ICF, the International Coaching Federation. So I got to meet people from all around the world, and it was so interesting to get to know them and then brainstorm ideas back and forth.
Yeah, well, I love that you said that, and I have to say, I have nothing but the respect for the ICF because they're international, and they do everything they do is international.
Yes.
The guest experts that we included in case studies were from around the world, and the people who participated were from around the world. And I think the diversity of expertise and interest and application and culture really creates a richness. So I appreciate you calling that out.
Yeah.
So you're a real overachiever, and you're like, and I love the way you printed out your workbook, which is one of the big differentiating features of this BDS from all the ones we've done in the past. What kinds of things are you thinking about? Because you've already you immediately joined Advanced, and
Yes.
you know the kinds of topics we're going to be talking about. What are the things that are the absolute must be taken away that will help you, really put your practice where you want it to be?
Do you mean what I took away from core that was absolutely the most, or what am I looking
What
forward
are you
to?
looking forward to with Advanced?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I knew coming out of core, like, okay, if core got me here and now I feel so much more confident after 3 days, that's just a warm up for advanced. So that's why I knew almost regardless of what was in there, I was going to be going, because I think you and the team with Katie and everyone else at ICF and Justin and everyone who put it together, like, I already knew it was valuable, and you didn't even really have to sell it to me. And that's, I think, again, indicative of a great coach, where when we just provide massive amounts of value, someone almost has no choice. Like, they'd be silly not to, in my opinion. Ryan is not a paid spokesperson for William Arruda. No, but I loved it. And you had the two magical letters that all of us have been hearing so much about, AI. So I was joking with William right before we jumped in here that we can either try to fight it or we can join it. And as far as riding this wave of the AI revolution, and I've already seen how it can transform our content creation, because I really do feel it can be used for good to benefit our clients and to benefit our coaching practices, to free up our time too.
Yeah, I have to say it's a big part of the program, and we engaged this amazing guy. His name is Matt Strain, and they call him the AI whisperer, because what his job is, like, he's like a super genius, right? And he knows everything, but he talks in a way where even I can understand it. And he goes and he flies around the world and he talks to all these CEOs. And essentially is like, here's what you need to know about.
Yeah.
And they just eat it up. And then they're like, oh, now you have to go to this region and that region. How we found time in his calendar is amazing. And what we're going to talk about is actually 3 ways to use AI, and really to get you to think about the way that you're going to apply it. But the 3 topics are really for efficiency, how can you, if advanced is all about growing your practice. You can't grow your practice if you don't make time to do it. I don't know any coaches who are sitting around saying, oh, what am I going to do with this extra hour today? Right. So AI can help create amazing efficiency, and you can use that extra time to be able to grow a new offering or move into a new niche or completely build an entire new business. So we'll talk about efficiency. We'll talk about how you can use it to enhance your offering. How do you build a more differentiated, better, more valuable offering that other people don't even have, where it really sets you apart from your peers who are also coaches, right? And I think that's what we need to be thinking about is people are jumping in. So if we don't jump in, there's definitely going to be a deficit at some point. And then the third way, and you just talked about this, is how do you use it as a way to stay visible, available, and valuable to your people?
Yes.
How can you make the visibility part less work, less onerous, right? Because everyone freaks out about how much time they have to spend every day in social media. What are the things that you can do? And so those are the three areas of AI we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk specifically about the personal branding process, know, show, and grow.
Yes.
How you can use personal branding in each of those phases to get, more interesting insights and to be able to get some stuff created for you that you don't have to work on. So for example, like an amazing, totally authentic, compelling bio by using the right kind of prompts within AI.
I love that. And that was one of the questions that I brought with me, which is, okay, AI is great, but how are we going to actually use it? How can I fully leverage it? And it sounds like we're going to do that. But I have a feeling I'm not the only one with questions, William. So I'm just curious for all of our coaches or all of the William Arruda fans who are tuning in from around the globe. Who else has questions? Trust me, I have plenty, but just want to encourage everyone to share their questions in the chat. That's why William and I are here to share my perspective as a participant and William's as the facilitator. So let us know. We're here to help.
Ryan, you are a great facilitator. That was just nicely done.
Thank you.
One of the things I think that you are really good at is networking and building your network. And you were such an engaged member of the community that we had when we did core. And we're gonna just give you a little bit of foreshadowing. We're gonna talk with this amazing coach. Her name's Deborah Grayson Regal. And she pretty much owes all her success. This is what she says: all my success comes from my relationships and my connections with coaches. And a lot of coaches feel a little bit like other coaches, they're peers, but they're also competitors in some ways. And she just doesn't think about it at all. And she's going to really inspire us. We have a really long interview, which I was going to cut down, and I loved every minute of it. So we kept the entire thing and popped it into the program about really how do you leverage when you're looking to expand your practice. One of the best assets you have is your network. How do you do that? And she shares her examples of things that she's done and how she's brought people with her and things that she's been able to do thanks to having this vast, really cohesive and connected network.
I'm so glad you mentioned that too, the power of network, because to your point, I loved engaging with my peers when I was in core. And I was just thinking about, wow, if I wouldn't have signed up for core or if I wasn't part of ICF, I wouldn't know how to reach other people that are doing what I do in different countries. And I'm very similar. Can you remind me of her name one more time? I want to make sure I write it down.
Her name's Deborah Grayson Regal. And she's, we have 16 guest experts and case studies that we've added into this program, which I have to tell you, oh my gosh, the post-production video stuff that we're doing right now to try to make it all work time-wise for the on-demand version is just crazy, because we have so much great content from so many great people, and we're trying to just make it all fit. So
well,
I'm
not surprised because, and you mentioned this earlier too, just back to core for a second. It's like we tell our clients that you're going to get out of this as much as you put into it. And what I was so impressed by, this was the first business development series I had ever been a part of or participated in. And what I loved is that there was resources for deeper inquiry on almost every page with experts or fellow coaches that had gone through it. So the fact that Deborah is going to come in and help us, that was literally one of my questions. Like, okay, I'm growing a network, I'm meeting with people globally, but now what do I do? So I'm so excited that she's going to be there because if anyone's ever read the book Never Eat Alone, your network is your net worth. So it's really good to be able to stay connected. And yeah, and I love her philosophy too. Even before I've met her, I already love her because, instead of looking at things as competition, I mean, I really take the abundance mindset into all of this. Like, we're all here to help each other. There's enough people out there that need help. Trust me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the abundance model is really where you need to be. That the pie is not limited. So there can be 8 million new coaches and there could be 800 million new clients, right? So really you can grow the pie. And I think everyone doing amazing work as coaches really does help everyone, right? There's a ripple effect to the great work that coaches do, I think. I would love your thought on a question that came in about networking. How do you expand your network without seeming like you're being really like a chest pounding self promoter?
Absolutely. And this question comes from Nick Luis. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, Nick. To me, it's all about just being curious. And again, it just naturally relates back to our coaching mentality because I'm never trying to push anything on anyone. I'm just genuinely curious about wanting to learn about them. And if they're open to connecting, for example, on LinkedIn, like, hey, it was great meeting you at BDS Advanced. Would you be open to connecting? Or I'll maybe ask a question like, what was your biggest takeaway? So in that way, I'm not self-promoting anything. I just want to connect and learn about that person. And as far as networking it without coming off too self-promotional, you can also ask them and invite them to share, what is it that how do you bring value to your clients? And that way they're like, oh, he or she is asking about me. And then they will probably reciprocate. But we're obviously not here to try to promote our own businesses to our fellow coaches. We're just here to learn and support each other. I hope that helps, Nick.
I think that's brilliant. And I think someone once told me, and I guess it's an old adage that a lot of people know, is it's better to be interested than interesting. And I think that's to not seem self-promotional is really to ask questions of others. And who better to ask questions than the world's best question askers, coaches? Yeah. So you have the built-in tools to be really good at networking.
And and Nick says, yes, that does. Speaking of questions, we had another one coming in from Aniket. And Aniket asks, I've recently transitioned to coaching from a long marketing career. I'm in the process of putting a personal brand together and eventually building a growing business. I'm curious about BDS and AI. So what would you say to that one, William? It sounds like Aniket might be sort of on the fence. He's interested, but I'm not sure if he's signed up yet.
Yeah. So Aniket, I would actually recommend you start with BDS Core because that's the program. Core is designed for, I've become a coach, now what? And what are the things I need to put in place? It's very serial process that we're going to go through, and Core is still available on demand. So you could do that. And it's literally, who is your niche and what is your offering and how do you describe it and how do you tell your story and what sets you apart from everyone else who does what you do and all the different steps you need to take to build your practice. And then, whenever you're ready, the AI piece is obviously it's more advanced. It's in advanced, and advanced is really it's much less of a serial process, even though there's some structure to it. In fact, we're going to do, just to confuse you, Ryan, we're going to do no flow grow for advanced. But there are some topics that we're going to talk about. Writing a book. A lot of coaches want to expand their practice by writing a book or being on the speaking circuit or building learning programs or building certification programs. That stuff may be more or less relevant to each person, although there's going to be something valuable to everyone in each of those topics. Whereas I think if you're really looking to do what is my step-by-step I need to start a practice, I would start with Core and then move to advanced.
And William, just to add on to that, Aniket, especially if you are just getting into the business, I can't recommend core enough. I was just, if you were not here at the beginning, I was talking about how I printed out um, the workbook and I just put it in a binder. And there's even areas in here about my brief business plan. So William does a great job stepping us through what's the executive summary, what's the market opportunity. We even talk about color psychology. So even though it's core, I mean, you get through a ton. So the value is, it's actually kind of ridiculous how much value we got because we are members of ICF. So don't miss that.
Wow, nicely said, Ryan, and thanks for that. Yeah, you are such an overachiever. I'm still really impressed with the book. I will say that the best. Here's the thing: learning without action does not deliver results. So the key is you can come and be hopefully entertained because there's a lot of fun in it, and have people say that was like a lot of great content, but if you don't do anything with it, you don't get value from it. And I think that's the key. And I think you're referring back, and that was the whole reason. This is the first time ever we've done the business development series, I think 10 times, and never have we had a comprehensive workbook for you to jot down all your thoughts and create an action plan. And I think that frankly, it's been missing. And it was the head of L&D, the VP of L&D, Karen Bernstein, who said, this program needs a workbook. And so it was like of course it does. Why did we not think of that for the last 10 years? And I think that's the tool that can help you actually turn learning into action.
Karen, we've never met, but I just got to tell you, you and your team knocked it out of the park, because this was great. And William, just for like a point of clarification, I printed out not to be overachieving, but just because all of us have been through so many trainings that if it's in some digital file somewhere, like I need to have it in front of me. And for someone like me who's neurodivergent with ADHD, just having it right in front of me, and to your point about the neuroscience part, like writing it down just helps for me. So it was less about, hey, let me show off, and more about like, I actually want to remember this.
So I was not implying that you were showing off at all. There are a lot of overachievers. You know what? It's demonstration, not show. Personal branding is show and tell, right? But the most important part is the show, not the tell. And that's what I was getting out of that. You demonstrate.
Thank you. I didn't take it as
yeah.
bad.
No.
Yeah.
It was certainly not. You would never be accused of being self-promoting.
Well, thank you. And one thing I do want to promote is putting your questions into the chat. Brittany put a question in. Brittany Lee asked about sharing a link to learn more about core. So this would go back, I know, to Aniket's question. So it's in there. Thank you, Katie, for popping that in there. So you can check out the chat for links to sign up for core, and obviously learn about advanced as well. What else is everyone wondering? What are you wondering about advanced? We're here for a few more minutes. So William, what else should we tell everyone?
Yeah, well, one of the things I want to, we are going to cover a lot on the topic of video. Video, I have to say, it's a missed opportunity for people who are not doubling down on video. Now that everything has moved online, right? We know that words only account for 7% of a communication. The rest is tone of voice, intonation, body language. Video, we are on right now, right? We could have written this whole thing out and sent it to people. Would it have been as compelling or engaging? So we're going to talk about the different ways that you can use video as a coach. We have an expert called Catherine Fennell. She is a pioneer in individuals using video. She's got a company up in Toronto called Video Bio. And she's going to give you her perspective about the evolution, because she was there at the beginning where she used to have a studio in New York City on Broadway, and I would go into the studio and everything was all, and now things are becoming much more informal and conversational, and do it on your own phone. And she talks about the evolution of video and then different ways that we can use video to really stand out and to capture the attention of our prospects so that we can turn them into clients. So I think that's going to be a really great thing. Katie, do you mind just putting the links in? There's a link right below us, coachingfederation.org/BDS. I don't know if that is the correct link, what's below here, but Katie, who is leading the effort for BDS Advanced from the ICF side, she is an amazing big superstar, and she is also behind the scenes right now working with us in this LinkedIn Live.
And I want to say, look at the coaches just responding here to support each other. Reka Toka said, "Here you go, Brittany Lee," and gave her, and I think it was because Brittany was on the LinkedIn side. And William, this is a great point from Glennis Williams, says, "My agency is moving to video. I'm a great teacher and coach, but I'm a novice at video." All right, we're getting more comments, so I have to scroll back up. Being in front of the camera, a little insecure, etc. So what about someone like Glennis who's a little wary about it?
Yeah, and that's really what prevents us from doing it is that there's a weird wall. Talking to a camera is it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. Here's the thing: desensitization. What do they do with people who are afraid to fly? They put them on planes. And it's the same thing with speaking to a camera. At some point, you can get really used to it. I used to have a client who just disliked it so much that I actually we cut around his camera, the little light, and we put people there so that he could talk to people, and he just felt better because talking to a little black device or whatever, your iPhone, whatever you're using, it feels artificial and fake. But once you get used to it, it's just like anything else, and we are actually better in communicating that way with people rather than writing. Writing is an artificial thing that we came up with, but speaking is something that we've been able to do forever. So you will get comfortable the more you do it.
And Glennis, I can speak from experience on that one too. I'm 4 years into my coaching career, and videos really helped me. That's where I'm my best because it's, to William's point, it's much more of a conversation. I feel I can connect with people better as opposed to trying to write a blog or write an email. I would much rather have a video call with someone. So we'll be interested to have you there so that we can show you how to do that.
Yeah, I just want to put a plug for Ryan's YouTube channel. Go to Ryan's YouTube channel. Here's what I love that you do, Ryan, and you do a really good job. You're incredibly authentic and vulnerable. And I watched one where you're like, you know what? I was fired 7 times and going on. And those are the kind of things that we don't even want to talk about or remember happen.
Yeah.
And you use it as a way to convey a really important point. And you show that you're in real Brené Brown kind of form. You really demonstrate how vulnerable you are and how open you are. You instantly build trust and relationships with video that no one would ever get from the most beautiful document you could prepare about what you do.
Exactly. No, and thank you. I received that. And one of the big parts of my value is I want to turn my mess and turn it into a message to inspire the people that are where I was previously. So
my mess into a mess. You have so many of those. There's going to be a book someday, Ryan, the quips from Ryan Mayer.
The Coach Ryanisms.
I will be the first one at Amazon ordering my copy.
I'll send you a signed copy. You don't have to order it.
See that? Oh.
And thank goodness I'm going to advance because I can learn how to write a book now. So.
Well, I don't know that we're going to teach you to write the book. We're going to teach you to make it successful.
Well, exactly.
The book writing part, we're going to have to leave that up to you.
Deeper dive. Roger that. And Katie, Nick. Oh, well, she's so good. Before I could even say it, she already put it in there. Did anyone catch the discount code for the core series? So this is BDS 24 social for 20% off. So this is a great time. Strike while the iron's hot. You're excited, and trust me, it's going to be worth it. BDS 24 social, 20% off.
Wow. Well, Ryan, I'm going to leave it there. We are going to have a lot of amazing people, I think, as your colleagues in the program when we start in June 4th for live. And for those of you who you prefer to do it at your own pace and you really, 3 intensive days is not your best way to learn. We have the exact same content. In fact, we're literally this week we're finalizing all the core. It's not just a recorded version of live. It's actually a complete product that we've just 99% completed. So you'll be able to access it whichever way works for you. And all I'm going to say is love to see you there. Ryan, thank you so much for being you and for taking time to share your insights and your guidance and your questions about what we're going to do in advance. You're getting me all excited about what we're going to be talking about.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I know we'll be talking again soon, and I hope to meet a lot of my fellow coaches from all around the world at BDS Advanced on June 4th.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everyone, for paying attention. And we will see many of you in a short period of time. Take care.